Hey, Motor Warriors. I don't know if y'all watch Two Wheels and a Ponytail, or abbreviated as TWAAP, TWAAP, but I believe she's from the Netherlands, and I'm not sure if she lives in Spain or if she just does a lot of dirt bike riding in Spain, but a while back she collided when she was doing some indoor track-like thing and messed up her wrist really bad on the bike and needed surgery, that kind of thing. And it reminded me of my friend Gary that I told you about. He's that guy that, you know, lit himself on fire and whatever. I told you all about that. But it reminded me of Gary, and I was going to remember to tell you a story about him and dirt bikes and racing and all that kind of stuff. And then I kind of forgot about it. But then not too long ago, Kleb did a video showing how he ran into someone out in California riding on the dirt and mangled himself up a bit too. So I thought, yeah. And then I made a comment saying that, you know, on his channel, but it reminded me to tell the story of my friend Gary and how that he wrecked and the bone was through his leg and that kind of thing. And he asked me if I pissed on it, and because that's what you're supposed to do, he said. And I told him no, that I put salt on it because that's supposed to help heal it. And if you know anything about salt and wounds, that would not make it heal, that would make him scream even more. But anyway, so true to my word, I'm going to tell you today about my friend Gary and what had happened. There's a place we used to go ride that we called the hill climb. Y'all might call it a mountain, you know, depending on where you're from, but it's just a really, really big hill. And there was areas of the hill that, you know, you could make it up pretty easy if you'd ridden a dirt bike for, you know, a couple weeks and had the feel and the balance of how a bike works on the dirt. You could make it up the hill pretty easy on some parts. Then there was, you know, there's another part that unless you were a very experienced rider, you weren't going to make it, because you had to keep full throttle no matter what was going on. You had to keep it full throttle trying to get up the thing. It was just so steep, and if you backed off the throttle, you would slide back down the side of that big hill. It was steep. And then there was some other trails that went up the side of that thing, and some of them were open, and others that, you know, we rode on a lot would go up through the woods. And this one particular hill that we were all going up, if you hit it fast enough, you could get airborne, and it was kind of a nice jump. It was a lot of fun. You just had to be careful because you mess up. I mean, there's trees on either side of you and all that kind of stuff. And but anyway, there was a group of us, and we were racing. And a guy that we rode with from time to time, I don't remember his name. I probably heard it once, but it was so long ago, I don't remember him. But he was in front, and a little bit behind him was Gary, my friend that I said lit himself on fire, and the story I told you about that. And then I was a bit behind Gary, and then behind me there was, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 other guys, something like that. And as I'm going up the hill, I see the first bike go over, and then I see Gary, and as he's going up and coming in, you know, getting some air, he has this look like something's not right. So I started to slow down a little bit so I wouldn't go airborne, and I was waving off the people behind me like, you know, back down, back down. And when I come up over the top of the hill, I'm glad I wasn't going airborne, because I'd have probably been in the hospital too. Because what had happened is that the first guy lost balance and ate it really bad. And Gary tried to avoid it, but once you're in the air, you don't have a whole lot of control over your bike. And he ended up landing on top of the other guy's bike, and his leg got mangled in between the two twisted chunks of metal that used to be dirt bikes. And when I got down the hill, the first guy was totally out. I mean, out cold. And Gary's sitting on his butt, kind of like sitting up sort of, and he's holding his leg, screaming at the top of his lungs. And when I got closer, I realized what was going on. And his leg, I believe that's called your tibia. Yeah, because your femur is the upper one, and the fibula is the small one in the lower part of your leg. Yeah, so the tibia. The tibia was completely split and made like a jagged, sharp edge, shooting not only through his skin, but through his jeans. He was wearing blue jeans, and it was like through, I could see the bone poking through his jeans, and there was blood all over. And he's screaming. And I'm like, oh man. Well, the other guys come up and come down the hill, and they're like, oh man, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And Gary's freaking out. He's in pain. And he is a pretty tough guy. I think it was like the first time I'd ever heard him scream or make any kind of like, this hurts type of thing. I mean, he was a pretty tough dude. But anyway, this is all, we're talking like 45 years ago, folks. There was no cell phones or, stuff like that. So one of the guys jumped back on his bike and flew back into town to the nearest payphone and called, we didn't have 911 back then, but called, the rescue and said, hey man, here's what happened. And they wanted to fly in a helicopter. But the guy told him, hey look, there's no way you're going to land a helicopter. There's like the trail he's up, there's woods all around. There's no way you're going to get the helicopter. Well, then they tried to bring in an ambulance, but the ambulance couldn't get through all of the ruts and between some of the trees. So finally we ended up having to get somebody that we knew that had a four-wheel drive truck that used to ride up there all the time. And so he went and got his four-wheel drive truck and come up the hill climb, and we put Gary and the other guy that was totally out cold, put them in the back of the truck. And I gotta watch for traffic here. But put them in the back of the truck and rode them back into back down to the waiting ambulance that was on the road down below. And then they took them to the hospital. Well, the first guy, the one that lost it first and Gary landed on top of, that guy was in a coma for, I don't know, a month or two, something like that. And last I heard, like I said, I didn't know him really well, but the last I heard, after that, I mean, this, like I said, we're talking a long time ago, but he was fine and everything like that. It's just that he was in a coma for a while. And he had a little, he had some cracks and stuff like that in bones, but nothing super serious. They were only concerned about the coma. And when he came out of that, they were fine, But anyway, let's turn here. But anyway, and Gary had to have like a bunch of pins and screws and bolts and, Frankenstein stuff in his leg. And, but he was unable to ride for about a year and a half, two, something like that, whatever it was. And it tore him up because Gary rode dirt bikes as much as I did back in the day. And, but he eventually recovered and stuff. But anyway, I just, when I was hearing about TWAAP, two wheels and a ponytail, and hearing about Kleb, it reminded me of that, and I just wanted to share that story with you. I mean, I've ran into some trees and had trees like smack me in the head, things like that, but nothing serious like that. About the only broken bone I ever got was when I was younger and I played football. I broke my leg in two places because, well, that's a different story for a different day. Be careful whether you ride dirt or ride the street. You need to be careful. It's not like we have this cage around us to protect us. And if you learned how to ride in the dirt and you spent all of your life growing up riding in the dirt, by the time you're old enough to hit the road, you start realizing, one, how to handle a motorcycle, and two, how fragile life can be, and you learn how to be more careful. And because of that background I had growing up riding dirt, man, thank God I've never had a wreck on the road. And I'm really grateful for that. But you have to be careful, you have to watch, you have to anticipate, and if you drive like an idiot, you're going to probably die like an idiot too. But anyway, Moto Warriors, I just wanted to share that story about my friend. if he was still alive, I'd give him a call and tell him to watch the video, but he passed away. But anyway, I appreciate y'all for watching. Thanks for subscribing and hitting the bell and the like, thumbs up and all that kind of stuff, and all the other stuff that, you know, people with channels like to see happen. And but either way, remember to live your life with the heart of a Viking warrior. And as I put on my Instagram page, believe in yourself before someone tells you not to. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.